we got 146,000 for 4 years. I mean, I just know that I love you guys. The one thing that I think really sets you guys apart, the one thing I consistently, like your North Star, and this is what I said to you, your North Star is the presence that you provide to families. And because we feel supported, heard, and that's your North Star. Like you do a lot of other just great stuff, but being, you know, being made to feel heard and seen through a really stressful process is important. If there's anything I can do for you guys, I'm going to do it because you guys are kind and want your families to be successful in reaching their dreams for their students. And that's what shows. It's yes, you're building a business and all of those things, but at the same time, you're the heart of your company are your clients and your students, your student athletes. And that's what my husband and I felt every day. So anything that we could do to help, we wanted to. So how do we do this? We started by just doing our own random emails, and that got really squirrely, way out of control. We couldn't manage anything and kind of all got a little stressed. I worked better with a plan, and I didn't have a plan, and I didn't know how to attack it, and knew that it was complicated and that we needed some kind of guidance and some kind of plan because we were trying to do it on our own, kind of unsuccessfully and kind of willy-nilly. And so saw you guys, honestly, on Instagram. This was 2 years ago. And I was like, you know what? Let me just kind of do an interest call. So talk to Connor at that point, just to kind of hear what you guys offered and what your program was all about. And honestly, it was like, okay, this is what I need. This is the plan that I need. It was just very structured. And the guidance in terms of the playbook was there. Here's what you need to do. Here's how you need to write emails. Here's the follow-up. Yeah, so that's kind of what led us to you, was needing guidance and a plan of action. And so I appreciated your system of saying, hey, this is for the parents, not to say that the students can't come in and be there too. Yeah. But the parents really need to own it because it's so much. I think one of the things is that as parents of younger athletes, high school, but younger, you just don't know the landscape. That is what we needed, your playbook, to just be really transparent, because it was like, hey, here's what you do. Here's step one, and here's why. But we kept going back to it and back to it for scripts or for, now what do we do here? And what, so it was, in terms of an evergreen product, you got it.
You found us on Instagram, scheduled a call with us. Did you talk to anybody else, like any other recruiting services or advisors or anything like that?
No.
Just
you
us.
Were it. You were
it. you found your home.
That's right. Whether you wanted that or not, we're here.
That's awesome. Well, I'm very happy about that. I'm happy that you felt confident enough that you're like, nah, these are my people. This is my place.
Yeah, 100%. And it was worth our investment monetarily to say, I don't know what this even is supposed to look like. I don't know how to make, what's a playlist? Like, yeah. And so I felt like that was really helpful as a kind of an add-on to the program to say, hey, if you can afford it, invest in that. Office hours were super helpful. It was really helpful because we actually got to have you guys in the lot, like in the flesh, and could kind of talk through scenarios and listen to other parents. When you guys added the Telegram app, it took it to the whole next level for at least our family, because other people chime in. So it's not just you and Connor and the other staff answering our questions, but it's also other seasoned parents. That was a game changer for us. So that was so good. Through the program, had about 50 that we were navigating over the 2-year period. Ended up getting a D1 offer, and we're blessed to have received that. And it's actually at the school that he loves, and with coaches that he absolutely loves, and that are going to support him and support his development. You guys are awesome. And I mean, seriously, that's what I've said all along, is that your North Star is your presence and your investment of just being seen, in the Telegram app on office hours, that you aren't just someone kind of just pushing out Instagram content and, or whatever, like you guys are real and that's your North Star. Because that's what families need during a really stressful time. So that's what you guys are. So don't lose sight of that as you guys grow.
Hey, Cathy, how's it going?
Hey, Jack, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. I hope you had a wonderful new year.
We did.
So thank you so much for offering to share your experience here today. So here's where I want to start. Just wondering, when you were early in the recruiting process, you came to us, what was it that you were struggling with that kind of originally led you to come to us or seek help in the process?
Yeah, good question. So the summer of the sophomore year is when the NCAA can reach out to athletes. And so we were in the sophomore year and so prior to summer, and I was like, what, how do we do this? Like, I know June 15th is coming and I want to capitalize on his success. And so we started by just doing our own random emails, and that got really squirrely, way out of control. We couldn't manage anything and kind of all got a little stressed. So after June 15th arrived, I worked better with a plan, and I didn't have a plan, and I didn't know how to attack it, and knew that it was complicated and that we needed some kind of guidance and some kind of plan. Because we were trying to do it on our own, kind of unsuccessfully and kind of willy nilly. And so saw you guys honestly on Instagram. This was 2 years ago. And I was like, you know what? Let me just kind of uh, do an interest call. So talk to Connor at that point just to kind of hear what you guys offered, and what your program was all about. And honestly, it was like, okay, this is what I need. This is the plan that I need. It was just very structured. And the guidance in terms of the playbook was there. Here's what you need to do. Here's how you need to write emails. Here's the follow up and mail shake, and or whatever system that that parent uses. That's what we needed.
Hmm.
Was that plan to kind of go into the following 2 years, so junior year, senior year, whatever that looks like. Yeah, so that's kind of what led us to you, was needing guidance and a plan of action.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned that it was a little squirrely when you were kind of trying to do it on your own. Was that just because it felt like like a lot of work, or what was it about that it was just like a lack of a plan, or is that?
Yeah, this whole process is a lot of work, like hands down.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the amount of work, it was just that we didn't know the system, like that you send the initial emails out, like we knew we had to cast a net, and some of these things that parents kind of intuitively know, or whatever. But then the drip that you guys suggested, so we cast the net and then we drip and then we drip, and then we kind of keep a list of who so when you fish, what nibbles did you get?
Yeah.
And so that was really the plan. So we were, my son was actually kind of navigating the emails, although we were involved. This was before coming to you. And it was just, I think we needed control over that. And so I appreciated your system of saying, hey, this is for the parents, not to say that the students can't come in and be there too,
Yeah.
but the parents really need to own it because it's so much. It just, to work your plan, it takes, I think, either a really special student athlete, and I'm sure they're out there, um, or it takes the parents to jump in.
Yeah, that is a hill I'll die on.
Yeah,
Which is, parents, please help your kids.
yeah.
Even you said, it might take a really special student athlete. You're not kidding. I can think of maybe two of them that
Hmm.
truly did it by themselves. And
Hmm.
those two students uh were exceptional, and not exceptional in the way that they were valedictorians, extremely
Hmm.
competent, very smart, not like that. Um, in the best way possible. They had a little bit of a screw loose, and it was just their life. And
Yeah.
that is what they did. And those two athletes were able to do it. For everybody else, please, please, please help your kid. Please help
Yes,
your kid.
100%. Take control of it. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So it was a little squirrely. You found us on Instagram. Had you tried anything else to sort of get a plan to make the process a little bit easier? Was there stuff on social media that you were following or webinars you were attending? Like, had you tried anything before you came to us?
I mean, I think kind of thinking back, we might have just through his club attended some kind of webinars that they put on, but not with any structure or order. We just, oh, that topic sounds great. Let's tune into that kind of webinar. And I think one of the things is that as parents of younger athletes, high school, but younger, you just don't know the landscape.
Mm.
And so if I could go back and talk to myself 4 years ago, when my son was an entering freshman to where I am today, wow, the learning that has transpired is enormous. So I think we were just trying to grasp anything that we could, but it was very willy nilly. And that's why the playbook, like that is what we needed, your playbook, to just be really transparent because it was like, hey, here's what you do. Here's step one, and here's why. And then here's step two. And we kept going back to that playbook. And half the time I would lose the link. I'm like, where is that link to playbook? And but we kept going back to it and back to it for scripts or for now, what do we do here? And what so it was in terms of an evergreen product, you got it because parents instead of bombarding you guys, parents can go back to that and reference something that is still correct and true, in the process. So
Amazing. Okay. And then you found us on Instagram, scheduled a call with us. Did you talk to anybody else, like any other recruiting services or advisors or anything like that?
no,
Just
you were
us.
it. You were it.
You found your home. You
That's
found
right. Whether you wanted that or not, we're here.
that's awesome. Well, I'm very happy about that. I'm happy that you felt confident enough that you're like, nah, these are my people. This is my
Yeah,
place.
100%.
Okay, cool. So you came in, you really needed a plan. You talked a lot about the playbook and how you found that to be helpful, that you could continue to go back to that, the steps, all that sort of stuff. Is there anything else in the program that you felt was particularly helpful for your situation?
Yeah, so the YouTube channel is, I mean, you say this a lot. I think now, 4 years later, or 2 years later of the recruiting process, you have to have that. And not just like this 10-minute or even 5-minute long clip of the whole season. That was something that I think we really struggled with. Like, how do we even do this? Like, I only watch YouTube content. Like, how do I create a YouTube channel and all of that? And so we actually paid you guys to set up the YouTube channel. And then um, my son went and wrote down all the clips. And that's pretty labor intensive, but at the same time, it was worth because we didn't know how to do it. It was worth Connor did it at that time for us. It was worth him, and it was worth our investment monetarily to say, I don't know what this even is supposed to look like. I don't know how to make what's a playlist like,
Yeah.
And so I felt like that was really helpful as a kind of an add-on to the program to say, hey, if you can afford it, invest in that instead of now there are probably a lot of tech savvy people out there and we did get a whole lot better.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying if I could go back and talk to myself,
Yes.
um but we didn't know how, and now there's so many other, I think 2 years later there's a lot of even emerging technology that's out there on apps
Yep.
that you can quickly cut and stuff, but that was very helpful to have Connor kind of set up our initial 50 clips or whatever he did initially. I will say we ended with almost 100 clips on on his YouTube channel. We did still do some longer highlight reels, things like that, but a lot of them were 10 seconds, 12 seconds. But still felt like coaches wanted to see more breadth at various times. Um, than just the 10-second, 12-second clips that we were sending in the mail shake. So I think that was really helpful just in terms of an add-on that you guys offered for families.
Amazing.
And then I will speak to the Telegram app, but I mean I can do that in a minute,
Go
or I
for it.
can do
What do
it
you got?
now. Okay. Well, I think, we started with you guys prior to that. And
Yeah.
so office hours were super helpful. Um, that was something that you guys did, uh, that had been implemented upon our arrival. And
Mhm.
we utilized those.
Yeah.
Um, and it was really helpful because we actually got to have you guys in the lot, like in the flesh,
Yeah.
and could kind of talk through scenarios and listen to other parents. Um, but there was a waiting time, like, okay, if there's 15 people on the call, we have to wait, and this might be a short question, and so when you guys added the Telegram app, which was probably a year into our time with you,
Yeah.
that was, it took it to the whole next level for at least our family, because other people chime in. So it's not just you and Connor and the other staff answering our questions, but it's also other seasoned parents
Yeah.
and so I feel like that was a game changer for us, just in terms of, okay, I don't need to bug Jack and Connor all the time. I can reserve big questions for
Yeah.
them. So that was so good. That was a good add-on.
Yeah. Telegram is one of those things I regret not doing from the start. And I wish we had, because it's been you wouldn't believe the number of families who have said exactly what you've told me today, which is like Telegram. And now we tell people Telegram's like the lifeblood of what we do.
Yes.
You're sure it's great to be able to ask our staff questions at basically any time of day, but it's also great that you're with other parents. You get to see the questions that they ask and the answers to their questions, but also that you're just not in the process alone, that there's other parents who are going through it with you. You're not on an island. You all have the same playbook, the same information. Everybody in there is serious about recruiting. When you are a parent, I mean, how many countless Facebook forums and stuff that you can go to, but you don't know how seriously those people are taking recruiting, or if they're crazy
Mhm.
or what's happening. And so it's just really nice to have a group of parents who are all serious about recruiting. They've invested in their kids' future. They have the same information that you do, and you're all riding the same journey together. And I regret not starting that earlier. It's now my favorite thing that we do. You even mentioned office hours. We have less people, even though we have more clients in D1 scholarship, we have less people in office hours really than ever before because they get their answers in Telegram. They
That's
don't
right.
have to come. And so now when they come to office hours, there might only be 4 people or 5 people on. And so there's more FaceTime, less waiting. And you really only come when you have like something serious that you want to talk about
Hmm.
in the flesh. And so, yeah, I'm with you on that. We're on the same page. I wish I had done Telegram earlier. Yeah, it's been awesome from our side too.
Well,
Um,
and I think it adds, I mean, something I've told you is that the one thing that I think really sets you guys apart, and I don't know who your competition is, like who your benchmarks are and who you're really competing against. I mean, I just know that I love you guys and that, like, you know, but the one thing I consistently, like, your North Star, and this is what I said to you, your North Star is the presence that you provide to families, period. And because we feel supported, heard, and we know that you guys are going to answer us. And that's your North Star. Like, you do a lot of other just great stuff, but being you know being made to feel heard and seen through a really stressful process is important, because this process is not for the faint of heart. um and at times, like, there were times on the Telegram app that I had to mute it because there's this, maybe you can do some research on this later, but there is this mental piece that plays into the Telegram app, I think, a little bit. Like, okay, well, they're getting more, they're getting less, they're not getting, or they are, or they're, so it's this like social dynamic that can be defeating. at
Yeah.
times. And so I don't know if anybody has mentioned that to you, but there is this process of like, well, why hasn't it been happening? Why can't it happen? Why won't it happen?
Yeah.
Um, when you're that's why I chose not to post my son's commitment on the Telegram app.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want other families to feel like, man, I mean, how lucky is that family when we didn't feel that for a really long time,
Sure.
so I privately messaged you guys.
Yeah.
So I mean, the Telegram app is great in a lot of ways. Just there's this piece too, because it's this process is so hard,
Mhm.
and the landscape is changing, well, daily,
Yeah.
you know, with the NCAA. So yeah, anyway.
I think that's a very astute observation. And I think that's totally true because it is a community, which means you kind of ride the highs and the lows of what everybody else is getting too. And one of the things that makes it really good is that you have lots of families in different sports at different times of recruiting. And so you get to see where people are when they're a little bit ahead of where you are. You get to be able to help people who are a little bit behind where you are. And so that's really good. And at the same time, it's kind of like when you look at people who are ahead of where you are, you're like, man, we're not there though. Like, we're not there yet. And so there is that emotional, I think it's a really astute observation because that it does exist, that it's
Mhm.
nearly impossible. Even if you're not trying to play the comparison game, it's nearly impossible not to, right? Is it because that athlete was more talented or did they start before us or are they, do they have different goals? Are they early? Like, how did that work? And so I totally think that makes a lot of sense. I would still encourage you to post the commitment in
No,
Telegram.
no, 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 I can't.
Listen, you don't have to. I'm not going to put pressure on you, but I have heard from a number of families who love seeing the commitments in Telegram because for a lot of families, like you said, the recruiting process is really hard. And I say this in nearly every testimonial interview that I've had. I have not met a single family, regardless of how many offers they ended up getting, how talented their kid was, who didn't have at least one. I'm going to call it like a crisis, like an emotional crisis, where they just felt like, man, and maybe this isn't going to happen for us. And sometimes we get some really talented athletes. Most of the athletes that we work with we call like they're good enough to play in college, but they're not like mega stars, right? Even the couple mega stars that we've had, they've had moments where that was the case too. And so I've had some families say, man, I love seeing the commitments and the stuff like that in there because it lets me know that what we're doing is going to work, that it's going to come out the other side. Because for parents, you talked about a plan and a playbook. 100%, right? But the big key there is that you believe it's going to work. Because if you don't believe it's going to work, you're not going to do the work, right? Okay, cool. So let's talk about it working. So you came in, follow the playbook. What ended up happening? What results did you end up seeing?
Yeah, so we probably sent out, and now we have canceled our subscription, so I can't get back in there to get the data, But with Mailshake, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to pay that anymore. So I looked to try to get the data of like the number of emails that we sent, and so I'm going to generalize it. It's probably not going to be 100% accurate, but we probably within the 2 year span that we worked with you guys, we probably ended up sending with follow-up emails, all the things, I don't know, 500, 600, maybe even more emails than that over the 2 year span.
Yeah,
Mailshake was whatever service that you want. That's the service that you need,
yeah,
that kind of an email service. Um, so we probably ended up seriously having navigating 40 to 50 really serious interest um, from all levels, D1 down, and had multiple D2 and D3 offers. And he was holding out. And so that's the thing. It's hard. I actually have one thing I want to say to parents afterward, but um, I'll wait and do that in a minute. But it's So we through the program had about 50 that we were navigating over the 2-year period, and the NCAA landscape is really really tough, and so you can't get your hopes up. And that's the one thing I really, you have to just, it's a business. You have to go into every conversation. Uh, your child is that commodity that
Mhm.
is being negotiated. And so a little bit of interest doesn't mean that it's going to go to the end and that an offer is going to be made, but you have to kind of stay the course with each and every one. And then some will ghost you and others will ramp up and at various times. And so 40 to 50, multiple D2, D3s. He was really holding out for a couple D1s that really kind of strung him along the whole. That's the mental game, is really being strung out by, because it's a recruiting board,
Yeah.
and where is he on the board? Anyway, ended up getting a D1 offer, um, and we're blessed to have received that, and it's actually at the school that he loves, and with coaches that he absolutely loves, and um, and that are going to support him and support his development. So that's kind of where we ended up. But we really would say that his commitment and his offer came late for
Mhm.
his graduating class of 2026, because it came in December. And so we just are kind of navigating this, which is pretty late in the landscape. And we had turned down D2 and D3 offers to kind of wait, which is probably something you would not advise us to do, but we did it.
You know what? Not necessarily, right? Not necessarily, because we're not here to tell families what they should or shouldn't want. We are here to listen to what it is that you want and then give you the best advice that we can to help you get that. And so there's families who the kid is either, I want to play D1 or I'm just not going to play in college. And that's okay. That's totally fine. There are a lot of athletes where that's not the case. They're like, listen, I just want to keep playing. So if I can get to a D2 or a D3, I'm happy with that. That's great. Right. And there's families sort of a hybrid in between where they're like, we prefer D1, but if it doesn't work out, we're good with D2, D3. And so, like, yeah, I got nothing against what you guys decided to do. It's what you guys want. It's not my job to tell you what it is that you want. It's just my job to put you in the best possible position to help you achieve what it is that you want. And so I'm pumped for you guys. That's an incredible offer. You guys absolutely deserve it. You earned it. Can I ask how much the scholarship was for, or are you not
Yeah,
cool with
yeah.
sharing that?
No, it's fine. Yeah. I forgot to mention that. I will say that with the D1 landscape, um, they're very, unless you go to a top D1 school, that athletic money is not where you need to invest.
Mhm.
And so if the one piece, like I would say, invest in your child's academic, like
Mhm.
push your child academically, not solely athletically, because our money came from academic.
Mhm.
Um, and so we got 146,000 for 4 years. Um, and then once kind of soccer starts, we'll be able to
Yeah.
stack more and stack more and stack more. But grateful for that offer.
Yeah.
But that's what I would say. Concentrate on ACT, GPA,
Yeah.
the rigor of the transcript that your student athlete, of courses that your student athlete is taking in high school. Like that's where the money is at institutions, unless you are that top, that or go D3, or something like that, to where it's all academic money. Um, that's where I would focus.
Yeah. There's no world in which having good grades hurts you. It
No.
just doesn't happen. And it's kind of astounding. You're talking about D1, which I think people assume that there's money at D1, whether it's athletic, academic, doesn't matter. But people are like, yeah, D1s are going to figure out how to get you money. But the thing that surprises a lot of people is the amount of money that you can get academically at like a D3, for instance, right? I mean, we have athletes who have gotten 150, 170, $180,000 scholarships to D3 schools. And I think a lot of
Yeah.
people just hear, oh, there's no athletic money at D3. So they assume that there's no money. There's actually a lot of money, but like to your credit and what you're saying is it's a lot of academics and that is such an incredible thing. And good academics open up doors is the other thing. If you have bad academics, not only might you not get an academic scholarship, but you're going to get schools who are just going to cross you right off the list. They're not even going to have a chance to really show them what you can do athletically because they're like, wait, sorry, we can't get you in. And that's going to be a problem as well. Okay, cool. So your time to shine. You are a vet. You are seasoned. You are salted. You came to us 2 years ago being like, we don't have a plan. We don't really know what's going on. We don't know up
Mhm.
from down. And now that is not the case. And so I'd like to give you some time right now to just what advice do you have for families that are just starting out the process, families that are in the thick of the process? What wisdom would you like to impart to those families?
Stay the course and work the plan. And it's not going to be perfect. Like, it's you're going to have highs and you're going to have lows. Be mentally prepared. This was a mental journey for this family. And, when we got the offer, all of us just started sobbing. And there was just this relief that kind of happened. Um, because you're just constantly holding your breath throughout the whole process of, is it going to be the school where he is going to be happy? Is it going to be with coaches where he's going to be happy? And um, it's a business. You got to go into it with that. Like I said, that your child is a commodity, and I hate to sound like that, but that is the case
Mhm.
at the end of the day. And find a coach that believes in you. And the one thing I like, my son would even say, he was like, "Mom, the amount of times you had me text these coaches, do it. Just have your kid listen to you, reach out with a 10-second video that you just clipped on text because you're texting like crazy. It's just this constant kind of contact. And then don't go mental when they kind of when they crash communication for a month or two.
Yeah.
Don't go mental, because that's what happened to our son. He was like, okay, that's it. That whole school's done. Like, it's done. And it might be, but it really might not be. They get busy. And so, just, and then the last thing I would say is start the process as early as possible. Like, I think if we had come to you or, invested in you guys, the sophomore year, when nothing really can really happen, in the sophomore year, but to put out feelers, to maybe get some camp invites, start the communication with some camp invites, whatever. That, looking back, I think would have been helpful if we had said, okay, Jack, we're going to hire you sophomore, coming into sophomore year or even freshman year. I don't think that that's even
Yeah.
too early, because there's so much you don't know.
Mm.
And so the earlier that you can start with, like, getting a grasp of what the process is, and
Mhm.
and going, okay, I know how to follow through, I know what this looks like. Then when it begins to ramp up your junior year and really going into your senior year, you're well equipped.
Yes.
But starting in the summer of your senior year is late to get the process down and to have you know the success that you want.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
totally. Because when it becomes time, you mentioned like ramping up in junior year. When it gets time to ramp up, you kind of already need to have flexed those muscles to be able to ramp up. I was talking to somebody the other day, and the analogy I used was if you're going to go work out at the gym and you're going to go bench press and you're like, I want to bench press 315. You're not just going to like go into the gym and start bench pressing 315, right? You're going to need to have worked up to that. And so you talked about sending 500, 700, however many emails over the course of 2 years. If you've never sent an email to a college coach before, you're not just going to wake up junior year and say, 500, here we come. It's not going to happen. But if you will, if freshman year or sophomore, even you had just sent a few and you know what the process looks like. Oh, okay. I know how to get the coach contact information. I know what I'm going to say. I know the video process behind that. I know what I'm going to do after the first message. When you have already done that, even if it's not at crazy scale, but just a little bit, you flexed those muscles. Then when it becomes time, junior year, you're ready to hit the ground running. You can go bench 315 and you're ready to do it. And so I think that's fantastic advice. Um, I'm so stoked for you guys. You deserve every bit of the scholarship money, the roster spot, the D1, everything. You guys put in all the effort. I want to commend you and your husband. You guys totally came along, Ryan, and helped him through the process. You worked as a family unit. Credit to Ryan for doing everything he needed to do on the field and texting coaches, phone calls, the whole thing. I'm just so happy for you guys. You were such a pleasure to work with, so easy. Everyone on our team loved you. Always kind, always respectful. You helped other families in Telegram. And so, man, I'm just so excited for you guys and happy for you. And I just want to thank you so much for sharing your experience here today. It really means a lot.
Well, and I mean, if there's anything I can do for you guys, I'm going to do it because, you know, you guys are kind and want your families to be successful in reaching their dreams for their students, and that's what shows. It's yes, you're building a business and all of those things, but at the same time, you're the heart of your company are your clients and your student athletes, and that's what my husband and I felt every day.
Hmm.
So anything that we could do to help, we wanted to. So
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
yeah.
Well, I'm super happy for you guys. If you need anything, please let us know. But thank you so much for sharing your experience here today, Kathy.
Thanks. Appreciate it.